So these aras, I call it a social pleasure system. It's easier for you to understand because we feel pleasure when we are in the social interaction. When we talk with our mom, we talk with our friend, we talk with our spouse, we feel good. So this is the function of aras. So in our head, introvert people have smaller aras. They have smaller glass. Smaller glass means less water can contain it. So this water is the pleasure that we get when we socialize with people. So for introvert people, because they have so small glass, when they interact, the water came into the glass and it fill up quite fast than extrovert people, sorry. And when the glass become full, they need to take a step back. They was like, okay, this is too much for me. I need me time. I need to be alone. It's different with extrovert people. Extrovert people, they have a really, not glass, I would say baldi. Or the, what baldi? Timber, bucket. Yes, bucket. Maybe a well. They have really big aras and they need to fill up their social pleasure system with that water. They take a long time. I have a friend who are very extrovert. You know how he interact with people? Hey guys! What's up? Long time no see! Wait guys, we only two here. Really? Literally like that? In MACD? I still remember to this moment. But I understand because he's an extrovert, so we respect. That's how his personality. So different with introvert people, they don't require so much time to interact with people. They feel pleasure by doing something with their own. They read a book, they watch a movie, they go eat alone, but they are not lonely. We always see that people alone, oh, you must be lonely. Being alone and being lonely is two different things. You can be extrovert and you still lonely. And you can be introvert, but you cannot be lonely. It's not caused by the others, but it's interrelated. So that is the simple explanation I can give about introvert, because I learned about introvert one semester. So don't expect me to tell the whole thing about it. But in the short introduction is, first we need to know the concept of aras. The size of the glass is different for different people. Second concept is you need to know that not introvert people is the same just like the introvert people. Let's say I'm introvert, you introvert, we are not the same. That's not a pick-up line. Also, if I am extrovert, you are extrovert, we are not the same. It's just a personality, it's just a category. Just like you are a girl and you are a man. It's a category of gender. But it does not say that you a girl and you that girl, you are the same. Oh, you're a girl, right? You must be the same. You have a different personality, you have different memory, you have different experience. Even you have a different spouse. Of course, you're going to be different. So introvert and extrovert, you need to know, it's just a category. It's not a label. And it's not thing that define you. I always found that someone who said that I'm an introvert, when they have something to do, but they don't want to do it, they're being shy about it. And people ask, why don't you want to do it? It's your job. No, I'm introvert. Okay. Don't make it an excuse. Make it as your power. Embrace your personality. Okay? Any introvert people here? If you raise your hand, you're not introvert because introvert is shy. No, sorry, just kidding.
Okay.
And the third concept is you need to understand introvert and extrovert, they all have different personalities. Introvert have 4 types of introverts, according to Carl Jung, the founder of introversion, extroversion thing, the big 5, sort of that. You don't need to look into the detail. But in my personal opinion, I refer to Hans Isaac, a very good psychologist. Perhaps I could say that the founding psychologist related to personality. You can Google his name. He has about more than 100 research about human personality. So he can read your mind. Yeah, he's really good. He's passed away already, but it's a long time ago. But Hans Isaac, he came up with 3 simple personality that define people. These 3 concepts is so simple, but it's also give a huge impact to the society. Because based on this concept, it's developed into different kind of personality. His concept is simple. You just remember this one. You know what is this? A pen. Yeah, remember, PEN. Psychotism, extraversion, and neuroticism. So the one I just said just now about the ARAS is extraversion. It's related to introvert and extrovert. So introvert, they have 4 types of introvert, and extrovert, they also have 4 types of extrovert. And then don't forget, there's a person in the middle we call as ambivert. They also have different kind of ambivert. Alright, that's all. Thank you.
Alright, thank you so much. So that was our starting point for the day about what introverts and extroverts are. So there our good kind sir here spoke about ARAS. Everybody derives pleasure from social interaction. It's just that each one has a pleasure meter to fill, and after they get all that pleasure they want and they need, they start feeling tired and it's no longer enjoyable for them. And it's just that most introverts are people who don't need as much social interaction as extroverts. Extroverts who would need a lot more to get that same sense of fulfillment. Am I right, sir? Alright. Okay, and now let's move on to a question for our good madam here, who's also a lecturer with our department. Now, madam, firstly, if there is anything you could add to the introvert and what's an extrovert by Mr. Aiman here. But also on that same note, between the introverts and extroverts, is it a mind over matter type of thing? Is it just in their heads? Or there really are people out there who are definitely less inclined to talk as much as extroverts, or they are really deep down inside they're introverted and there's not much we can do about it to change. It's in them.
Okay, thank you, Brother Shah. And so following what Mr. Aiman has mentioned just now, so I'm just going to add on to that a little bit, and I hope this can also answer the mind over matter issue. Okay, so introverts and extroverts, they have physiological basis. Okay, so in other words, it's not just purely a mind over matter or matter over mind thing. But it doesn't mean you cannot change yourself. Okay, but before I go into that, I do recognize some faces, so be careful. I know some of you took introduction to psychology with me, and I know some of you took personality psychology with me. Anyone? So, and I hope when Mr. Aiman talked about ARAS levels, okay, when he mentioned Carl Jung, when he mentioned Hans Eysenck, you know those terms and you know those names. Okay, if you say you don't, then I'm going to have to relook at your exam results. Of course, it's too late. Okay, so following from what Mr. Aiman mentioned about ARAS levels, so your personality traits do have some physiological basis. Okay, so the ARAS is one thing, which basically just simply means the arousal that you get in your cortex. Okay, the cortex is the part of your brain that is related to stimulation. It is also related to dopamine levels. Okay, are you familiar with the term dopamine? Okay, any physiology students, if you remember your biology back then in high school. Okay, so dopamine is a kind of neurotransmitter emitted by or released by a part of your brain, and that is also related to stimulation. It's called the feel-good chemical. Okay, so a person who is introverted has been found to show high levels of dopamine. So when they already have high levels of dopamine, okay, when you already have high levels of something, okay, a chemical in your body, that means that's it. You have enough of it. You don't need more. Okay, so to them, for the introverts, when they do come across situations like a crowded place, noisy place, too much stimulation, then they become overwhelmed because they already have enough. So remember again the analogy of the water in the glass. Okay, too much of it, then things will spill over. Then they will feel overwhelmed, and all they want to do is to go home and be on their own. Okay, to be with themselves. An extrovert, however, will have low levels of dopamine. Okay, so when you have not enough of something, this is when you seek out, you try to get this dopamine somewhere else. You try to get this extra stimulation somewhere else. So this is why they want to go out, meet new people, be in places where they will have a lot of stimulation, whether it's because of the noise, maybe because of visual distractions, or just simply having things to do. Okay, so that is the physiological part. Okay, so as far as being a mind over matter thing, another thing, and I think most of you would have noticed when Mr. Aiman talked about ambiverts. Okay, so following the question that he posed, where he asked who here are introverts. Okay, can I again see a show of hands, perhaps, if you think you are an introvert? Okay, the one who was very quick to raise his hand, I doubt it very much, just because you were very quick to raise your hands. Extroverts. Any extroverts? Okay, Ryan, I know you are. He was in my personality, so he should know all this too. Okay, so you may think you are an extrovert or an introvert. Okay, but how many of you, if I asked, how do you feel about coming up to the front of the class to give a presentation? Okay, the ones who shake their heads, what is the first thing that normally comes to your mind?
Oh no.
Sorry?
Oh no.
Oh no. As long as? As long as you have the knowledge. Okay, what else? As long as you have the knowledge? What if you are fully prepared? Your lecturer, or maybe if it's a group presentation, you were given ample time to get prepared. Would you be okay with that? Okay, so generally the answer would be, it depends, right? If I ask you, do you prefer to stay at home on a Saturday evening or night? Or would you like to go out for dinner at, let's say, TGIF or Chili's? Both. See? Okay, what does that tell you? Most of you are probably not extremely introverted, nor are you extremely extroverted. You are somewhere in the middle. Okay, so the idea behind the Hans Isaac PEN, which was then followed up and further developed by McRae and Costa, the 5-factor model. Remember Ocean? Okay, I hope most of you did. The ones who took intro to psychology and personality, you should know this. Okay, so they say that these personality traits are all, in a dimension, a spectrum. So there's no 0 to 100. Most of you would be somewhere in between. Some of you who say you are extroverts, but perhaps there are situations where you suddenly become quiet. Okay, you don't know what to say, because perhaps as we say in Malay, terkedu. Okay, and those who are introverts, perhaps there are some situations where suddenly you are like, oh, hi, you can talk, and you can talk a lot. Especially with, let's say, your close friends, your intimate friends, people you fully trust. Okay, but the difference, of course, between an extrovert and an introvert, the extrovert will probably have a lot more friends, a wider range of friends from all across cultures, maybe even across ages. They're the types who can just approach, let's say, a 5-year-old child and be best friends, BFFs with that 5-year-old child, and they can also approach the, let's say, the makcik cleaner, and start talking to the makcik cleaner like, I've known you all my life, makcik, where have you been? Okay, so this is the difference between an introvert and extrovert. The introvert may very well also approach the 5-year-old kid, but in an introvert way. Hi, how are you? Would you like candy? Okay, because they themselves are quite shy. And maybe to speak to the makcik cleaner, the cleaning lady. Sorry to the non-Malay speakers. Okay, to the cleaning lady, the people who help to make sure our campuses are clean. Okay, and you see them in their uniforms. They get into the lifts with us, with their carts, with their mops and things like that. The introvert may very well also approach them and say hello, but maybe they just smile and say, hi makcik, how are you? Dah makan ke belum? Have you eaten or not? Typical Malay greeting. Okay, but it doesn't mean that they would completely clam up and not say anything. Okay, so again, this is the idea behind personality traits. So going back to this then, don't worry, okay, I'm going to reiterate what Mr. Aiman has said. Don't worry if you think, oh, I'm an introvert, oh God help me, what am I going to do, what kind of job am I going to have? I don't want to interact with people at all. Okay, and perhaps you really do feel that way. There may be a question about that coming up, perhaps. So I'll stop here, because maybe there are other questions.
Thank you so much, madam. So there she spoke a little bit about the pleasure chemical, dopamine, how it goes up in your head, makes you feel good. He spoke a little bit more and reiterated the aras spoken by Mr. Raiman here, and how nobody is totally extroverted or totally introverted. There's always varying degrees, and most of us are often in the middle. Now, our good sir here, Mr. Raiman, has worked with autistic children before, and he's encountered a lot in his field and experience. So I'd like to ask Mr. Raiman, when dealing with people we know that are a little more inclined towards introversion, or some people who are a little bit more extroverted, are there any do's and don'ts, or as we call it, pantang larang, anything that we should avoid or should do? So now we know that works.
Interesting, moderator. Do's and don'ts when you meet with people, especially when you don't know either they're extrovert or introvert, or ambivert, or omnivert. Yeah, you first heard of that, right? Omnivert. Alright, first is, I would say that when you first meet with people, stop judging. Stop looking at, are you introvert? Oh, you introvert, so I talk like this. Hello, how are you? The first question, oh, are you extrovert? Oh, hello! Don't be like that. Just be yourself. Just interact there with a natural way. And there will be a hint that you will see either they are extrovert, introvert, or ambivert. I'll give you a simple tips to know this. When you are interacting with introvert, let's say I speak with Shadizam, for example. We never speak before, we never meet before, but only in the poster. So the first thing when I first spoke to him, I realized that he loves small talks. Duduk mana? Where do you live? Oh, you live in Kajang. Small talks. Extrovert loves small talks. They love it a lot. Because small talks will... this is not judging. Baru je cakap kan. This is not judging. This is just a observation. Opinion, professional opinion. When you speak with introvert, when you ask, they answer. You ask again, they answer. Extrovert, you ask, they answer. They ask back. You ask 10 words, they answer you about 300 words. Introvert, hey, have you ate yet? No. You will eat? Let's go. Okay. They prefer to have a really minimum amount of word to get out from their mouth because their mind is so busy. They prefer to busy inside rather than busy in here. Extrovert, they love to be busy in here. But inside, yeah, they still have that knowledge. I'm not going to say that they have a thing kosong kan, not that. So do's and don'ts. First, after you already speak to them and you start to differentiate either you're introvert or extrovert, there's a very simple tip for this. For introvert, don't give a spotlight to them. Do you know what it means? This means that among all people in here, I give an example. All of you in here. So what's your opinion about introvert? You straight away bring the spotlight to them. Then everyone keep looking. Introvert hate that. Oh no, don't look at me, don't look at me. The different way extrovert. Extrovert, you can do it like that. You talk about me, everyone looking at me. They feel that energy for the social interaction. So how you speak with introvert, if you want to ask them personally. During everyone was busy doing something, you came to them, hey, how are you? How's the work, okay? Speak to them personally. They prefer that way. Don't bring the whole spotlight to them. They can, but only after a certain time. But not in the first impression. And second, what you don't do when you meet with introvert, extrovert is, yes, you need to understand their body language. Introvert people, they will give you a simple sign when they're already tired with you. They won't say it. They're not gonna say that, hey, you shut up. I need my me time. Go. I'm an introvert. No. They won't say that. But you need to understand the subtle signs, such as They start to look away. Or if they are sitting with you or standing, you can look at their feet. When people interact with you, actively interacting, their feet usually facing towards you. But when you see the legs start become, you will understand. But don't talk with them half your leg. Oh, you still okay? Okay, bye bye. Don't do like that. Be subtle as well. Look, okay, simple. For extrovert, you will see that they love interact with you when they start speaking more louder and louder. They start to go to the topics that out of the blue. Suddenly talk, have you seen the Titanic before this? They talk with Titanic, then you share the story about Titanic, suddenly talk about football. Because extrovert, they love the social interaction. They feel, you don't remember the glass? Yeah, they are opening the tap water. Talk to me. But introvert is already speeding up. Stop. I need my me alone time. So that's introvert. And the last one you need to understand is, when the sign is there for extrovert, you need to understand extrovert as well has a breaking point. They're not going to be 100% social. They also have a breaking point. So respect that. Don't say, oh, it's okay, he's extrovert, so keep talking to him. But that guy already feels tired, fatigued. For introvert, when you start to see that their response to you is going more into internally speaking, it means going more inside rather than outside. How to explain this?
Deep conversation.
I don't know how to practical to explain this.
Deep conversation.
Their body language start to go inside. I don't know how to explain this. Yeah, they have like hugging their hands or. So when they become like that, give them space. Don't simply, oh, you already at that point. Okay. Don't simply just leave it there, okay? You just say like, okay, talk to you later. I need to speak with the person. Okay, bye bye. Just respect them because they also have their intention to be alone. They want to have their alone time. They want to be me time, watching movies, reading books, or just doing nothing. You know, the nothing mode. Yeah, trust me, introvert love that.
Yeah.
I know because I used to do that. So this is the 3 do's and 3 don'ts that you need to do when you interact with introvert and extrovert. But as a conclusion, what if you still don't know either he's introvert or extrovert? It goes back to my first word, don't judge. So, introvert or extrovert, you behave whoever you want. I still be here if you want to talk to me. So, if you want to talk to me, come talk. If you don't want to, it's okay. The Malay said, jangan, how's the word? Jangan sentak. No need to be so sentak apa lagi The translation for sentak.
Savage.
Sensitive. Offended boleh lah. Tak sedap sangat. Don't be too offended if people don't want to talk to you because they are introvert. Or if they are extrovert, they want to talk to more to you, but you are already at your breaking point because you also have your own point. So it's okay. Don't be that offended because what you see, or what you feel, what you see, what you hear is just 10%. It's just your perception, your way of perceiving this world. But the real thing in this world is more than that. I think that's all. Thank you.
Alright, thank you, Mr. Aiman. I believe a good word to use, I think the young people would be familiar, is don't get so triggered. You know, people get triggered at certain things. Mr. Aiman spoke a little bit about body language. Perhaps now I should cut down a little bit my small talk. Yes. And he spoke about how, just like introverts, extroverts also have their breaking limit. After a certain limit, which they also don't really like to talk all that much to other people as well, they also have their me time. Just that it takes them a lot longer to reach that level compared to introverts. And of course, again, one more, he said, good one, was body language. Our ability to read between the lines, which is also one source of discontent among many housewives towards their husbands. But that's a different talk for a different time. So we should be able to, with anyone we see, look at their body language, the way they talk, their tone, and be able to estimate or see for ourselves whether that person is more interested or less interested or wants to leave already, because like our good Mr. Ayman said, once their feet start pointing away from you, that's a sign they're getting ready to get up and go. Alright, let's come back to our dear beloved madam to my right here. Now, we're coming to the modern world. Some of the challenges, madam, faced by our young people today are quite different from those of our parents' time. More and more people are going to universities, more people are getting smarter, examinations are getting increasingly more difficult each year, and now we have the new phenomenon they call the Fourth Industrial Revolution. You've got IT savvy. There's a need to be IT savvy now. Nobody here in this room can imagine going one day without their smartphones, checking here and there. My phone myself was completely destroyed these past 2 days. I wasn't able to contact the committee at all. So getting here on time was quite yes. Okay, get to the point. So, madam, in this day and age, do you think there's any downside or upside? Is there any advantage to being one of the two? Is it better to be intro or extroverted, or both, or ambiverts, or in your opinion, what do you think?
Okay, thank you, Shah. Firstly, you don't need to change yourself. Don't reduce your small talk. Okay, so and following from that, just to add a little bit to Mr. Ayman when he was talking about how do you interact with introverts or versus how do you interact with extroverts. So just take note or bear in mind that if you do know someone is an introvert, one big issue that they have is trust. And that is the reason why they have a very small pool of close friends. They have very few people that they are very close to, that they completely trust to talk about whatever issues or concerns that they might have. And because of that, if they do meet an extrovert, they might become, what's going on here? They might get nervous, they might feel confused, perhaps even because they are getting overstimulated because of this one extrovert person. Okay, so if you are an extrovert and you approach someone you know is an introvert, just try to calm yourself down first. You don't want to scare your new friend. Okay, now following, trying to answer the question that was posed to me just now. Fourth industrial revolution, that's what it's called. Okay, from my understanding about this term is that now we are moving into an era where a lot of our work is based on technology. So technology is taking over. A lot of things are being automated. So automation, robotics, these are now the main fields. But it doesn't mean that robots are now going to take over your work. Okay, behind these robots, behind this automation are obviously people. And this is where, this is something that I tell my nieces, okay, when they ask me about job prospects. What should they do? Where? What direction? So I tell them about what's going to be sort of in trend or on trend, which is obviously in the computer technology sector. Again, robotics is a big booming field now, industry now. So this might be the areas you want to go in, and anything related to that. And having said that, when looking at the kind of personality traits that would be suitable for this kind of jobs. Okay, before I say my piece, what do you think? When we talk about computers, who do you have in mind? Introverts or extroverts?
Introvert.
Why? Because they don't want to talk to people. They prefer to talk to the machine. Okay, and create the robots, and let the robots do the interacting with other people. That could very well be true. Okay, so I don't, unfortunately, right now have the statistics to show whether or not introverts naturally gravitate towards computer engineering or computer science or this kind of work. But it doesn't mean that extroverts don't have a place in this era too. Most likely, the introverts will be the ones behind the computers, behind the technology, behind the robots. but the extroverts will be the CEOs, okay, the managers, trying to get people in line to make sure that production is, everything is efficient and productive, running efficiently. Okay, so they may be the managers, they may be the CEOs even, okay, but, and this is again where I want to emphasize ambiverts. I myself see myself that way. Okay, most people automatically assume that just because I am a lecturer, I teach in front of a class, and I am okay with speaking in public like this, that they think I'm an extrovert. Okay, but I actually see myself more as an ambivert, more towards introvert. Okay, because I like my alone time. In fact, I probably spend more time in my head than I do interacting. Okay, I only interact when I'm at work, when I'm in class. Other than that, and I'm sure some of my students have already noticed this about me, when I need my alone time, I will actually turn off the lights in my room upstairs at level 5, lock my door, and I put, meeting or busy. Okay, but actually I'm in my room doing work. Why? Because I don't want people to disturb me. That is my alone time. Okay, and that is when I do work. And I'm pretty sure, Mr. Aiman himself would probably see himself, if I'm wrong, correct me, more probably towards, more an ambivert. Or maybe even, or are you an extrovert? Introvert. See? But obviously, if you did, okay, I was actually going to say introvert, but I just thought, okay, let's go the other extreme to see if I'm right or not. Okay, but as you can see, just because the two of us are able to sit here in front of all of you and talk, and we can be funny, we can talk about, we can joke, doesn't automatically mean we are extroverts. Okay, so I hope now you can sort of see that difference. Okay, so, and to add a little bit about what kind of work would be suitable. Okay, obviously to know that you need more than just to know if you are an introvert or an extrovert. There are various personality tests that you can take. Okay, there's the MMPI, there's the NEO PI. I think now it's a third version. Okay, NEO PI is the 5-factor model test. Okay, designed by Costa and McRae, and that will tell you more about your personality. So it would be a combination of whether you are an introvert or an extrovert or an ambivert, how open you are to changes, to challenges, how conscientious you are, how agreeable you are, and what's the other one? Neuroticism. Neuroticism is related to moods. Whether you are low in neuroticism, which means you are quite stable in your moods, you're not moody, you are quite content. Okay, and because of that also you probably can go through, you can take in challenges or adjust to changes better than someone who is high in neuroticism. Okay, so all of those factors will be influencing your decision in what way, in what work or in what direction you want to go in after your degree. In fact, even when you are choosing your degree, you might be wondering, would this suit me? What kind of course is this? What kind of program? Will there be a lot of presentations? If you are an introvert, you might want to choose a course that wouldn't require you to, stand in front of class or to do presentations. Yes, to some extent, definitely some of these professions or careers would probably be more suited to certain types of personalities. But it doesn't mean that, just because you're an extrovert, you cannot be part of this fourth industrial revolution. Okay, you can in whatever capacity. And again, because the idea behind it is you try to balance things out. So for those who are mostly extrovert, try to minimize your loudness and your excitability. Okay, okay, because and this is a recently published finding by, I believe, Professor Grant from Wharton Business School in the University of Pennsylvania. Recently published was 2017, where he actually found that based on the number of sales income made, it wasn't the extroverts who made most money. No. So you don't immediately assume that salespeople are mostly extroverts. No. And introverts also did not make the most money. The ones who did make the most money, or in other words, the ones who made the best salespeople, were the ambiverts, the ones who were in the middle. And the reason why is because they were able to be assertive enough, which is a typical trait of the extrovert, they can be assertive enough to approach people, to close deals, to persuade people to buy things, to buy whatever products or services they are selling.